Hello and welcome to another indie dev stream. Today I will be working on Main Street. My name is River, and we recently added fishing as a new feature, and I've just been working off stream on some little user interface updates. Now these horrible icons up here are placeholders. These are mine, but I just updated everything so that it uses the new UI panels and so that these panels are all movable. So for instance, if you were in inventory and the inventory was static up here before and you wanted to go fishing, you could drag inventory down here. And pretty excited about that. We have the notifications here and you can move that wherever you want. You could put it up here. You could put chat up here. Literally anywhere you want it to go. And of course, you can always hide things. We also added in this little fade-in animation for all the UI elements when they come in. But when they go out, they just blank out. All right, so what am I going to be doing? Today, I'm going to be starting something brand new. So I'm going to start right away with a new code file. Whoops. I'm going to start right away with a new code file, which is going to be achievements. And I have no idea where I'm going with this yet. What I do know is that we have a new design document that we've been working on to list out what those achievements are. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to transpose that into code. So I know we're going to have a new object called achievement, and we're going to have different kinds of achievements. Any of them could lock something or not. So let's see. We're just going to start writing them out. So there's qualifiers and there's locker achievements. So a qualifier achievement is essentially one that just gives you an ability, or it says, "Hey, you are qualified for this. Like you did this thing." Then a locking achievement is an achievement that would say, without having this achievement unlocked, there's something that you're prevented from being able to do. So for qualifiers, let me look at what we have and start getting them out here. Just a moment. All right, so for qualifiers, we have popular. And let's see, that's going to be popular 1, popular 2. Let's actually give these numbers. Popular 4 and popular 5. These are going to be qualifying achievements under popular, and they're going to have values associated with them. So let's see. So that's going to be qualifying value and qualifying stat. So the stat is going to be what we're measuring, and then the value will be the measurement. So for popular, the qualifying stat is going to be popularity. And for popular 1, the qualifying value, we're going to say 150 popularity. And then the next one, 250. The third one, 500. And these numbers are totally subject to change, but I've been in a meeting with Sonic, figuring out some base values that we want to use, and we're going to implement them, and then we're just going to try it out and see how it goes. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Welcome to the stream. If you have not given the channel a follow yet and you're interested in learning more about Main Street, now's a good time to hit that follow button and get a conversation going if you want to. We don't have to talk. All right, so after popular, I'm going to talk no matter what. We have profitable. And profitable is going to be measuring your store's profit, or you. It's not going to be your store's profit, like your one store, but it will be the profit that you have made from stores that you own over all time. So profitable, we're going to do something similar here. So let's copy this over. The qualifying stat will be, let's say, total. Let's just call it a store profit. And then instead of popular, we're going to replace with profit. Perfect. Okay, then we have these numbers need to change. So the baseline profit will be 10,000. The next one will be 30,000. Then 100,000. And 500,000 and 5 million. Big jump at the end there. Let me make sure I got the right number of zeros. 6. Awesome. So then we have bustling. Guys, big problem here. We're trying to figure out an adjective to describe a high revenue business that goes in line with like popular and profitable. I was thinking busy, and I didn't like it. Then I got bustling, and Sonic hates it. So if you have an idea, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and turn it on streamer mode really quick for Discord. If you have an idea that would be beneficial to replace with bustling, please let me know. In the meantime, it's going to be bustling. So the qualifying stat will be store revenue. And we're going to replace all the profits with bustling. Hey, thanks for the host. A game now. I never remember how to say that. I want to say Agamnom. Agamnom. A gaming mom. Let me know how to say that. Appreciate the host. All right, so the values here are going to be 20,000, 60,000, 100,000. Is that right? No, those are wrong. They should all be double. So it should be 20,000, 60,000, 200,000. Agamemnon. It's kind of a tongue twister for me. Agamemnon. All right. I'll try to keep that in mind. Thanks for letting me know. All right. Bustling number 4 is going to be 1 million doll hairs. And then the next one will be 10 million, which is what, 7 zeros? Yeah. Cool. All right, let me update our document for that because that was wrong in the documents. Okay, cool. And then we have another one, which is going to be kind of just the new store track. So we're calling it new store. While I'm on that, there should be a name for the achievement. We'll call it display name. Popular, profitable, bustling. And then we'll override those in each of these. That'll be popular 1, popular 2. We're using numerals for the display. Roman numerals, I should say. No. That's just popular. Crap. All right, popular 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Awesome. Then we're gonna do the same thing with profitable. I always feel like at some point, some part of my job is just data entry. And I swear it's not true, but for some reason, with Main Street, because there's a lot of content, Main Street some days feel like data entry. Oh, man. That's what you get when you're a small team. All right, so profitable 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then bustling. Again, looking for idea names besides bustling. An adjective to call the achievement that reflects the amount of revenue your store in the game has generated. Not profitable, because profit and revenue are different, and we are tracking them separately in the game. All right, so this will be bustling 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so now new store. We're going to copy this for inspiration. New store is going to be, let's see, the values are 1, 3, 5, 10, and 18. And what these values reflect is the number of shop shelves, so store shelves. Or store shelf count, let's call it store shelf count. At some point I'm going to have, these are not variables that we're tracking, so these stats we're going to have to create a tracking system for as well. So I'll come back to these once I'm ready. So this one is going to be called new store. Let's see, and I should be able to copy this. All right, that's the qualifying stats that we have right now, which means that these stats, they don't inherently do anything, but they will be used by our locker stats to unlock things. Before I get into that, though, I want to create a stats code file and start tracking what these stats are. So let's save this. See if I can move this over. No, this is alphabetical. That's fine. All right, so achievements and stats. So we're going to have a stat. Let's see. So the stat is going to be associated with the player. So we're going to have a mob player. Variable stat. Well, no, stat should be its own thing. All right, so we'll just do this for now. So we have a stat. And let's see. We're going to have, I think we'll just do names. All right, so let's see. We have popularity. Store profit. Store revenue. And store shelf count. And these are really all store related. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go stat, store, popularity, profit, revenue, and shelf count. My Control S isn't working. You guys can see how often I try to do Control S. Pretty often. All right, so we're going to do a little note here. So that's stat store popularity, stat store profit, stat store revenue, and stat store shelf count. And we're going to use these notes to represent what we're doing. Let's see. Yeah, so these notes are going to educate what I want to do on the other side, which is instead of just doing an arbitrary string, we're going to do the type of the stat as the qualifying stat. So qualifying stat, stat store popularity, and then stat store profit, stat store revenue, and stat store shelf count. And there's my Control S again. Okay, so stats are going to have a value, and they won't have a player because they'll be associated with a player. So let's see. Stat is going to be value. Okay, cool. That should be fine for now. And then what we want to do is we want to associate the stat with the player. So we're going to make a function for the player. Initialize stats. So then we're going to, let's see, we're going to make a list of stats for the player. So the player is going to have a variable stats. And we're going to push the different types onto it. So let's look at our documentation. And there should be a type get types in Velocity. I'm using the Velocity game engine, and it uses a custom scripting language called ByScript. It's based on JavaScript, but it's a little different. So I have this type get types, and let's see, parent type to start with. And then omit will not include the only children. Okay, returns an array of all diab types in the game. If parent is set, only children of the parent. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to do type get type stat store. And we're going to set this into a variable. Store type, store stats, or stats store. Then if that is a thing, and that thing has length, we're going to loop through it. So for each stat and stat store, we're going to push it onto our stats. But first we have to create it. So we're going to go new object. Oh, my bad. New object stat. And this is actually a type. So let's call it stat type so we're clear. Type get type is going to... Sorry, should that have been get types? Let me check. Yes, that should have been get types. Okay, so then we're going to have a new object stat type, and we're going to set it equal to something. So if our stat equals new object stat type, and then we're going to push it onto the list. And this is just working on linking these new stats that we've created up here to a player when the player is created. And in order to do that, we need to call this function when the player is created. So we'll do on new this.initialize stats. So we'll make sure that gets called so it's always initialized. And then we need another function to set and get a stat. So let's do set stat, and that will take parameters stat name, or stat type, I guess. And then it will take a stat value. So stat type and stat value. We're going to do the same for get, but we're just going to have get stat type, and we're also going to have the default stat value default. So if you try to get the stat and you can't get it, what is it going to default itself to? And I think actually, and generally, we can assume it will be 0. So let's leave that, and let's just assume that it's 0, because these are all numeric stats. All right, let's see. And then we're going to do another... Let's see. So set stat is going to look at... It's going to loop through stats and look for the stat. So for each variable stat in this stats, we'll check if stat type... No, it's actually going to be type is type. Let's look at the documentation for type is type. That's how we're going to check this and make sure it's the type we're looking for. So we have type is type. It takes one type and two types and returns true if they're the same. All right, so we'll do if type is type. We'll pass stat from the for each loop and pstat type. So if they are the same, well, let's actually just say if they're not the same. So if it's not that type, continue and skip on to the next iteration of the loop. And then here, let's see, we have set stat. Okay, we have for each loop. So now if it is the same, then we want to change it. We want to modify it by the stat value. So then we're going to say stat value. Let's make sure that's right. Yes, stat value equals pstat value. And then we're going to return, because we found the stat. There's only going to be one of each stat in the list. So we know here that we got it and we can leave. I'm just going to add a little logging here. So I'm just adding logging here so that I'll be able to see some record that the function is happening here. And then here we're going to do set stat of type to value of pstat value. So that's just a little logging. There's my control S again. Crap. All right. So that's just a little logging. This function should effectively allow us to set what the stats are. Then we want to be able to get stat. So we're going to do something similar. But let's update our logging here. We're still going to loop through our stats and check the type. But what we're going to do is, instead of setting the value, we're going to return the value. So that's going to be got stat of type with value of stat.value. Wonderful. All right, so that's a little stat interface so that we can get and set them. And this is on the server side. Okay. So what do I want to do? That should be good. Now I want to start actually setting these stats. So the stats that we have are popularity, profit, revenue, and shelf count. So we need to set these for the player when they get modified. So we're going to start doing some digging. Let's see, none of my hotkeys are working. So guys, I'm going to blank out the screen for a moment and restart velocity. Not be right back. We'll just put it here. Restart velocity so that the hotkeys will start working again. All right, and we are back. let's get that notepad back up again. Okay, so we're back and we are looking for where our popularity is adjusted. So if I search the entire project for popularity, I can see that we're checking it in different places. Here's where it's declared and set to 0. Let's see. It is set here. Okay, so it's set in adjust popularity. So because it's a server client, it's a multiplayer game. I use this adjust popularity value whenever I change the popularity because the client needs to be informed that the popularity has changed. And so it's all wrapping right through here. So that should make the stat really easy because it's only changed in one place. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to call on the player set stat. And this is our type, stat store popularity. And this function is already part of the player, which means that we already have a reference to call the function. So what we're going to do is at the end, when it's been changed, we're going to call this set stat. And let's look at what parameters we're looking for. We're looking for the type and the value. The type is going to be a string, and it's going to be this one, stat store popularity. And then the value will be the popularity. So this dot popularity. Perfect, and my control S is working now. All right, so now that's done. We're tracking it perfectly. Profit and revenue and shelf count are going to be quite a bit different. Quite a bit different. Right, we don't track profit at all right now, and revenue we don't really either, and shelf count we'll see. So what we're going to do is shelf count's never going to go down. It's going to go up when they build a shelf, but we're not going to allow them to build a shelf and then destroy one and build one and destroy one. It'll go up and it will match the most shelves that they currently have. So if they need 18 shelves, they need to have 18 shelves at one time, but they can't lose it if they got it once. So let's see. We do track shelf count in some cases. I don't remember what we call it. Let's look in our, let's see, our shop. What variables do we have here? We have a shelf limit. So let's look at where we're using shelf limit because at some point we're setting it. All right, so here's where we're setting like what the shelf limits are. And here's where we're checking it on the server. Okay, so it's just reading the shelf list length. So the player has a shelf list and it's reading the shelf list length. So let's see when the shelf list is actually added to. We have a shelf list push here. This is going to be the only way to add to it. So let's see if that's ever called again. Nope, just in this one place. So this is the only place where we are adding to the shelf list. So this is where our stat is going to change. It's on the server, so that's good. And we have a reference to the player. Our reference is not this like it was before. Our reference now is P. And where is P coming from? P is coming from right here, where we grab the client from the command, and then we get the P, which is the mob. All right. So where were we doing that again? Shelf list push. This is the exact spot. So right after that, we want to then do P set stat. And that's going to be stat store shelf count as a string. And then the shelf list length. But that's not quite right. Because we only want to do this if the shelf list length is greater than what the stat already was. So we're going to do player shelf count stat equal stat value. This is a little verbose, but it gets the point across, which is what we're trying to do. So we'll do get stat, and we'll pass that shelf count type. Perfect. All right, and then we're going to check. There's something I want to do here because right now the values are defaulted to null, and that's going to mess up my math. So I'm going to add a little on new thing here. Actually, I should be able to fix it like this. There. So now they're set, they're defaulted to 0, so I can do math on them right away. Let's get back in here. All right, so we know that player shelf count stat value should be 0, or something else has been set to through set stat, which should always be a number. So we can assume that that is always a number. So let's check. If P at the player shelf list length is greater than the player shelf count stat value as it is currently, then and only then will we update the stat again. Okay, perfect. So that should be popularity, revenue, no, popularity and shelf count, my bad. Now we need to look at profit or revenue. I'm going to do revenue first because it's going to be a little easier. So revenue, we're specifically interested in revenue from shelves. So we have all of our shop shelf code under the shop shelf file. And let's see, there is a, on the server side, let's see, on new, what does it do? Man, at some point it has to start selling itself. Sell stock. So let me see where is sell stock getting called from. Okay, in the stock timer. All right, so this is our loop. Sell stock is going to be where it sells things. And so this is going to be where we're going to start making money. So here, let's see. If stock sold is greater than 0, adjust money, stock sold times get stock sell price. Okay. So we're going to set this off to a variable so we can use it and not have to do the math multiple times. So this is going to be stock sold revenue, or just let's call it stock revenue, equals this value here that we're adjusting the money by, and then adjust the money by that. When we adjust the money by that, we also want to adjust the stat. So P set stat, and that's going to be stat store revenue. Hey, Sonic. Let's see. Sonic is asking, what kind of UI icon do I want to designate bustling tiers? I was thinking like somebody who looks like they're really panicking. You know what I mean? Because like they're super busy and the store is bustling and they're like, oh my gosh, it's too much. No, for real, just like a stack of money would be cool. And maybe even if the stack of money got bigger for the different bustling tiers, that would be cool as well. So like a wad of cash is kind of what I was thinking. What do you think? All right, let's see. So we're setting the revenue stat, and we're setting it to that stock revenue value. You already have dollars for profit. Yeah, I can see how they would be similar, but I was thinking for profit, it could be like dollars with an up arrow. You know what? This is a great time for some concept art, because I am a wonderful concept artist. So we have our little border, right? And then we have like a dollar sign. So let's I'm gonna do this. Right, then we have a dollar sign. So I was thinking for profit, you could do something. Yeah. Oh yes, it's happening. I was thinking for profit, you could do something like this. You know what I'm saying? And then revenue could be the same, but without that. So then this can be revenue, right? And then the numerals can go down here. You know what I'm saying? Just a thought. I know the concept art is funny, but I'm actually being serious. All right, let's get rid of that for now. That's fine. You don't need to go into detail. Actually, no. So I know we want it to be like beveled, right? And we want a little bit of shading. So I'm just gonna. Oh, but where's the light coming from? You know what I'm saying? So let's get another gray and let's make it a little. Let's make this side. Oh, that's the same gray. Let's do a lighter gray, like over here, right? Yeah, and let me do the other one. No, just kidding. All right, got the point across. So that should be it for revenue. His revenue is coming from stock, from selling stock, and this is where it's happening. Okay, then profit should be the same thing here, and it's going to be very similar. It's just going to be a little different, which is it's going to subtract the stock cost. So the stock cost is going to be stock. Oh, but here's a weird thing. We don't know how much they paid for the stock. No. But when they upgrade the shelf, it makes for them pay for it again. So that's fine. All right. So that's going to be stock sold times this get stock. What is it? It's cost. Is that right? Get stock price, I think. Get stock buy price. Okay. Where are we looking? Shop shelf times this get stock buy price. So then the revenue is going to get set to. Oh, actually, we need to add this. I'm going to make functions for adding as well, so that we don't have to do something complicated. So in our stats, we have set stat, get stat, and we're going to do adjust stat. And it's going to be very similar to set stat, except it's going to append the value. So add or subtract it. So let's see, that's going to be adjust stat. We're still looping through. This is all perfect. Then we're going to do adjust stat of type. Let's see, from value of stat value to value of stat value plus pstat type. And then that stat value is going to be plus equals pstat value. And if I want to subtract, I'll just pass this as a negative. All right. So then I'll do adjust. So both of these need to be adjust actually. So that should be adjust stat. This should be adjust stat. And now we're doing stat store profit. And that's going to be stock revenue minus stock cost. Awesome. I think we have tracking stats now. So that's super cool. Let's run this, and I know my logging is going to be absolutely flooded with stuff. So let's take a look. So it's flooded with a lot of stuff. So I'm going to look for these things, and I'm going to just prevent them from getting logged. All right. And then it should be easier to read. Crap. I should have copy and pasted that because it went away when I closed it. Okay, so we have this. Let's just copy that into a notepad. Okay. Now I can close this, close that. Let's get this over here so you guys can see. And can I turn off word wrap? Perfect. All right, so found allowed fish type. That's fine. Those go away. That's only at the beginning. Let's see. This updating alpha thing we do not need anymore. So we'll comment out this log. That should help. And then we don't need the new fish creation. So new fish of type can get removed. And then there's also a deleting fish notice, and we can remove those as well. All right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just cleaning up some of my debug logging so that I can look at the new stat feature that I created in the logs because there's no interface for it yet. So, okay, we can get rid of that key down thing as well. Okay. Let's go ahead and give this a run and see if we're getting those stat adjustments that we are expecting. So I need a store to track those stats. So let's go ahead and get some money here. I'm getting money here by gathering flowers, and that's giving me some instant cash because those are still using the old system. I'm also fishing, and the fishing is going to allow me to open up my inventory, which I can now move over here and sell those fish. And let's make a quick buck here. I can hide my build box. I can hide my chat because I don't have anything going on there. All right. I swear, guys, I'm working. I'm definitely not playing the game right now. This is a productive point for me. And yes, you can totally walk away while you're fishing and you still catch the fish. Okay, this should be enough to do a quick test. So let's sell these guys. Let's buy this shop. We'll do a bakery. We gotta load up that build box. Okay, so let's make the muffin shelf and let's look in our debug. So I see popularity changed. All right, so what are we looking for exactly? Let's look at the code. So we're looking for player set stat for popularity. There's a lot of stuff in here. Player set stat 1. Okay, I see player set stat 1. And then we should see a player set stat 2. But there's no player set stat 2. And what that indicates to me is that there is no stat of the type that we called, which indicates to me that initialize stats isn't working the way that we think it is. So I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to add logging for this. And I always like to start my logging with just a line here that says this is the very first thing that's happening, and this is the function that we're expecting to be called. So then we're going to put another one here after this condition. This condition is just verifying that there are stats that exist. And then let's see. Then there's going to be a 3, which is going to be pushing stat of type to player stats list. All right, and we should see that somewhere in the load. Somewhere in the loading logging. So it should already be there. So I'm going to load it up, copy it into Notepad, and search for it. So we have initialize stats 2. All right, pushing stat of type stat store. So we don't actually want stat store on the list, but we can handle that in a moment. So I see stat store popularity, profit, revenue, and shelf count. So that's a good indication that we're doing that piece right. Let me zoom this in for you guys. So right here, this is the logging that I just created. And it's doing everything I'm expecting there. So then the question is, where else did I go wrong? So let's fast track this, and I'm gonna go pick a golden apple tree, which I think is this way. Yes. Sell those. And now I've got $1,000, so I got something to work with. Okay, so we're gonna buy the bakery again. Make a little test store, make that muffin shelf. Let's just make 3, and then let's look at the logging now. All right, so I made 3. It's calling set stat and get stat. Let's see, it's calling I'm seeing all the calls, but only to the very first piece. Never the second piece. So let's throw this in here. Do we have a set stat 2? Never a set stat 2. Alright, it's just not happening. So let's close out of this and let's look and see what we might be doing wrong. Okay, right here. It is an initialize stats. We have a variable stats on the player, and then we access another variable stats here, but it doesn't specify that we're talking about the player. And so this is a local variable that just gets trashed at the end. So anywhere we have a reference to stats, which is specific to the player, inside a player function, we need to put this at the beginning. That should fix it. Let's go for those golden apples again, and let's get a test going. Oh, that's funny. All right, so test. We are testing to make sure that we are recording our stats correctly. For the, let's see, let's close the chat, clean this up a little bit. See if we're recording the stats correctly as in the new stat system. So we're going to check the logs here. I need to get rid of this. Let me get rid of this really quick. That's spamming my log. This is the log that I'm concerned about. Let's get rid of that. Okay, but back to the game log. I'm still seeing just the 1. Let's keep watching it. Yeah, it's just calling 1. It's never getting to 2. So let's look at the stats some more. So for set stat 1, it just goes. It never makes it. Oh, I see. Okay. So you took one down, but not the other? What are you talking about, Robbie? Took one down, but not the other. Sorry, I might be late on that. Okay, so type is type. The problem here is I'm comparing stat as an object. London is up. Yeah, I didn't mean to take either of them down, actually. So one went down on its own. Don't know why. That's true. Hey, if they take themselves down, that's fine. Then I don't have to do it. So the problem here is I wasn't checking the type on that. So I think that should fix it, and I need to do this for each of these. Robbie, I don't know if you just came in. You would say, fine. Yeah, well, always look on the bright side. I don't know if you just came in, but for anybody who did, I want to show you really quick what I have been working on today, which I am pretty excited about. So we have this new achievements class. Just got here a bit ago. Cool. Well, I'm working on achievements. We have 2 types of achievements. We have qualifiers and lockers. I haven't defined the lockers yet, but a qualifying achievement is essentially tracking something that you've accomplished that can be numerically recorded, like the popularity that a store has reached, or how much profit you've earned for your store, how much revenue you've earned for your store, how many shelves you've built. One of them will just be how much money you have for sure. We're only doing the qualifiers right now that we require for the locking achievements. Yep, all of that, all of that. Everything you've said so far, but let me know. As far as fishing, yep. I want to do as many things as we can for sure. Absolutely. But right now we're just doing the core things that are required. So we're going to be doing locking achievements that you have to unlock in order to do some feature. So for instance, getting the largest store, you're going to have to get a locked achievement. And the locked achievements will be linked to qualifiers. So for instance, getting the second tier store might require that you have the qualifier popular 3. But in most cases, we're going to make it a binary choice. So you could unlock, say, the second store by getting popular 2 or profitable 2 as your qualifier, and so then you have different choices on how you want to get it done. But these qualifying achievements, they have to track things that we don't track yet, like the maximum popularity a store has reached, but not their current popularity. The maximum, your total profit over all time, your total revenue over all time, the maximum shelf count a store has reached. And while I'm saying all that, I just realized a little bug that I made, so I'm going to go fix that in a second. But this is the stat system that I'm working on right now, which is just to make sure that we can record those stats and save them. You're welcome, because I realized the bug while I was explaining it to you. Yeah, that's literally called the rubber duck debugging method. You are now a rubber duck, Ravi. All right. So what I realized I did wrong is the popularity. When I set the stat on the popularity, I wasn't checking to see if it was lower, because we don't want to. If your popularity goes down, we don't want to set it down. We want to track the popularity, the maximum popularity that you have reached. So here, we're going to do the same thing that we did for the shelf count. So we're going to copy this shelf count condition over to the popularity adjustment. That's going to be player popularity stat value. So if let's see, if this popularity is greater than what it already was before, then we will update it. Perfect. Thank you to my rubber duck Robbie. If you I keep trying to talk to you with my push to talk, but that's funny. I'm in the Main Street streaming voice channel if you want to join me. All right, let's give this a try. So we're going for our golden apple to fast track it. Robbie, have you seen this yet? Haha. I'm so glad I did that. I saw you were streaming something I have no input on. So figured it's best if it's just me. That's fine. All right, so I got. It's how I start every single game. Is I go for that golden apple tree, and then I just go start a shop. All right, so let's get our bakery again, and we're getting in the muffin shelves, and then we're just gonna inspect that log. So what am I seeing? Get stat 2, got stat of type store popularity with value. So the values are getting rounded off really weird ways, but this is looking good. This is looking really good. So let's just stalk the log for a minute. So I can see that it's getting, let's see, it's setting the stat for the popularity down, even though it's already been higher. So that piece is not working. Yeah, Robbie, that's actually the max popularity right there. If you can get it to be that exact number, then you beat the game. And the reason the popularity is going down is because I'm selling stock, and having a stock store does make you popular. So do I have anything else? I have revenue and profit. Okay, so there's problems on all sides, but it's closer than it should be. I'll clip that and send it to people when they ask. Awesome. All right, so what am I seeing? For popularity, it's setting it when it shouldn't because it's setting it to be a lower number, and that's not supposed to be possible. Then for revenue, it's a null value, and it's setting it to a null value. And for profit, same thing. It's a null value, and it's setting it to a null value. All right, so let's go in and let's see what we can do about this. For popularity, let's see. So we're getting the popularity stat back, and then it keeps resetting it. This logic is correct here, as far as I can tell. I think the problem is the get stat function isn't working correctly. So let's take a look at it. Or set stat. No, I think the problem is the set stat function isn't working correctly. So let's see. Set stat value equals the stat value. I mean, it shouldn't be any more complicated than that. What's here? I think for adjust stat, before we add to it, let's do if stat value is null, set it to 0. Couldn't it be it can't update the null value? So it's, yeah, but I had set something so it wasn't supposed to be null. It was supposed to be 0. But I don't think that worked quite the way I expected. So here I'm going to check and make sure that I set it to non-null before I add to it. And let's see if the behavior changes. I don't think that'll fix everything. I think it should fix at least something. Welcome to the stream, guys. I'm working on Main Street, a free-to-play indie game, which is an RPG tycoon. It is in early alpha, closed alpha testing, and I am developing on stream today, as well as showing off some things that are new that we're working on. If you'd like to follow up with Main Street and keep up with it, please consider following the channel. That's not a good fix because if anyone has an error, they lose all their progress. No. I think the problem is that it was initialized as a null value, right? So as long as we make sure that we handle it when it's initialized that way, it should never get set back to null again unless there's a completely different kind of mistake. All right, so let's get the bakery here. And let's do the same test and observe. So I did 3 muffin shelves, and we'll observe. Okay, shelf count increased. So that fixed shelf count. Boom. That's good. Let's see if it fixed the, or I actually don't know if shelf count was wrong in the first place. Let's see if it sorry. Let's see if it fixed revenue. Okay, from 0 to value of 0, from 0 to a value of 0. Well, that's definitely not right, and I'm still getting this little extra thing at the end. So they're not null. So that's great. I don't remember seeing shelf stats before either, actually. So maybe I did fix something. I don't know. All right. So let's see. Okay, so this is the problem right here where it's adding a little extra text at the end. Now, let's see. Oh, I'm just logging it wrong. here. I'm logging it wrong here. So from value of stat value to stat value plus p stat value. That could just be a logging issue. If null becomes 0, then did you really change it from null? Yes. Null is a completely different value than 0. Completely different. All right, so the question is why? Why is it returning? Why is it still updating popularity? Where are we doing that again? Server. Player shelf count. Well, let's. I'm using the same logic for shelf count and popularity. So let's test the shelf count because that'll be a little easier to test. And let's see how that's doing. It's funny, being able to move these things now makes me want to change the defaults. All right, so we have a bakery, and we're testing to see what exactly is going to happen with the new stat system in the log. So we're waiting for something to sell here. Let's check it out. All right, something just sold. So we have. Did I build it? I just fixed this. Hang on. I didn't build it. We got to start over. My bad. Guys, if you were just coming into the stream, what you are watching is me developing Main Street, which is a game that I'm working on. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'll be happy to run over some of the basics for you. I was going to ask if you press save. Apparently not. Let's get those golden apples. All right. So what I'm testing right now is the new stat feature. And I'm testing it by getting a small store and putting down 3 muffin shelves. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to log different stats for how many shelves there are, what my store's popularity is up here, as well as the revenue and profit that I earn from them. So let's check the log. And we're waiting for something to sell here. Boom, 2 things sold. Okay, so it's back to null. Oh, wait. Here it was 0 to, and then now it's null for the revenue. Popularity. Oh, the popularity rounded off. That's funny. All right, so we still got a ways to go, but let me test the number of shop shelves. So right now, the shop shelves got adjusted up to 3. We can see that right here. Well, I can see it. Here we go. Hopefully that's better. Hey, iDev Games. Welcome to the stream. All right, so let's sell this shelf. Crap, I can't sell in single player because it doesn't work. Let's sell the shop. And let's see if that adjusted the stats. So let's see. We might be missing something there. I think it needs to adjust the stats when we do that. Let's buy it back and let's build 1 muffin shelf and see what it does to the shelf list. So it got the stat of 3 and it didn't reset it. So it's working for shelf count. And it's getting the popularity of 35.5. And then it's not setting it again. Okay, so this is fine. This isn't... I think I was getting confused here. This is not part of the stat system. So it's getting the value and not setting it. So popularity and shelf count are both working. Revenue and profit are all sorts of janky. So let's go in and see what we're doing there. It could be that we're passing bad values. So we want to go to shop shelf. And there's a set stat in here. No, there's not. let's see, set stat. Where is set stat for? Oh, it's adjust. What I'm hearing is you tried to fix revenue, but you fixed shelves. Maybe shelves were working the whole time, Robbie. We don't know. You never know. All right, let's see. So we're adjusting the revenue to stock revenue, which is stock sold. I mean, these should be right. What are you building this in? I'm building this in a early access game engine called Velocity. You can get to it velocity.com. Using Velocity, you can build native web application games based on a fork of JavaScript called ThyScript. It's great for my purposes because it makes writing authoritative networked games pretty easy. But there's not a lot of documentation, so it can be a little hard to get into for a newcomer. It's very code heavy, but it's nice because it's JavaScript. There's no or fork of JavaScript. There's no syntax highlighting, and it's really easy to make mistakes and not know that you made them. But it's all part of the process. Looks more like a framework. Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. It is a framework, but it does have an IDE, which I'm using right now, and it also has some basic engine tools like for pixel art and things like that. And it has a map editor as well. So it's a little more than a framework. But it is pretty bare bones, which is also awesome because there's very few restrictions on what you can do. For the art, I think it uses Pixie.js, the Pixie.js library, and it runs the servers on Node.js. So it's I like it a lot. All right, let's see. So this is not working, like at all. So let's see. Yeah, that's a thing. Get stock sell price. Hmm. Doesn't make sense. All right, let's look in our stats. I'm getting null references when I call adjust stat. Wait. Wait. Guys, I'm using pstat value, the parameter from setStat, but I don't have it defined. That's what I'm talking about, where the framework or the game engine doesn't have like error catching like that. Normally, like in Unity using Visual Studio, it would catch that. I think that's going to be it. All right, so let's get our golden apples, and let's give it another go. And once I have it all logging correctly in the back end, I've got two choices. I can start trying to work on an interface for it, or I can start adding more stats to track. And I kind of want to just add more stats to track because I also want to compare. I want to see how it affects performance, but it shouldn't really be bad. All right, so let's see. We're doing our standard test of 3 muffin shells. And then we're open up the logs. Everything is looking normal so far. I followed them on Twitter, see what happens. Awesome. Yeah. If you want their Discord server, let me know. Discord is where they're most active right now. Let's see. Will you still need the null becomes 0 line after that fix? I don't know. I can guarantee you it's not going to hurt anything, so I'm going to leave it in. But probably not, Robbie. Probably not. All right, so adjust stat of type store revenue from 8 to 82 and profit from 4 to 41. Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm not sure how I already did 82 in revenue yet. That's the thing I'm not getting yet. So let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And what does it think my revenue is? 142. Oh, it's just the logging. The logging is wrong. Okay, guys. It was supposed to take. This is actually kind of funny. I know I'm a programmer, and so it's probably more funny to me. It was supposed to go from 16 to 18 here, and it says it went from 16 to 162. I'm concatenating the strings. That's pretty funny. I think literally just parentheses here is going to fix that. So what's happening is it's evaluating this from left to right. So right now it has this string and then it adds this number to the string. So now it has a bigger string and then it adds another number to the string. If I put in parentheses, it will use order operations and then it will add the two numbers together and then add them to the string. This is strictly a logging issue. Guys, don't watch this. I gotta see if this works. I don't think this works for guests. Oh, it does. You guys did not see anything. There definitely aren't admin commands in this game. All right. So now that we've got that going, I'm going to do a bigger test. It's like half my problems. Let's do a bigger test. Let's do some cake, pie, cupcakes, croissants, bread, muffins. And let's check out that logging. All right, so someday I'll address these weird issues with the popularity getting all janky, but the popularity stat is being set to the correct value, I believe. Pretty sure. No, it looks like it's going down again. I don't know. All right, let's see. So, but what do we have here? We have revenue going up by 2 for a muffin. Good. Profit going up by 1 for a muffin. This is looking great. This is looking really good. So let's just add a couple more stats here that we can check. Fish caught. This isn't going to be stored. This is going to be fishing, gathering, fish caught, fruit picked, flowers picked, and let's see. I think that's good for now. Let's get those in. So what do I need to do to add a new stat? I need to put in the type here, and then I also need to add it to the initialization. So here I create the stat store, and then I append the stats. So we're going to, let's see, I could just repeat this for each thing. No, we're going to do Let's make another function. Initialize stats for type. And then we're going to take the types, p types. And let's pull this piece out into that. And we're going to check p types instead of stat store. And then we're going to call, let's see, stats fishing equals type get types stat fishing. And then what was the other one? Gathering. All right. So from here I can go and I can call that new function. this initialize stats for types. And we'll pass it stats store. Then we're going to pass it the other values as well. Now I should be able to access those new types. So let me get this little type list out here. I need to make room on the screen for it. Okay, so the new types: stat fishing, fish caught, and stat gathering, fruit picked, and stat the word wrap, stat gathering, flowers picked. Nice. And now we need to set them. So fish caught is going to be in our fishing scripts, and I think right now it's on an on mouse click. Let's see. Yes. Okay, so let's see. Here's where we're adding the item. Oh, and by the way, Sonic, this is and Robbie, you might find this interesting. This is exactly why two people can't catch the same fish. So once you click on it, it starts a 6-second timer, I think. No, a 3.6-second timer. And at the end of that 3.6-second timer, it checks and makes sure that the fish is still a fish, that it still exists, and then it adds it to your inventory and destroys it. So fishing is actually down to the millisecond. Like if you click it 1 millisecond faster than somebody else, or the server understands that you clicked it 1 millisecond faster than somebody else, then it's going to give it to them and destroy the fish. And then when yours comes up, it's going to be like, oh no, the fish is gone. I can't have it. That's where that's happening. And this is also where we're going to adjust the stat. And that's going to be a reference to the player, which is going to be pclient mob. And then we do set stat. We pass the stat type, which is going to be fish caught. And we want to do adjust that fish caught, and it's going to be 1. We're going to do something very similar for the other things. So if you click it in the same millisecond, what happens? Then it's a battle of ping. It's a battle of the network ping. And then if they come in at the same time, that's not actually possible, because even if they arrived in the router at the same time or roughly the same time, there would be a queue. So then it would be an arbitrary order. So if it was literally simultaneous, then it would be given to an arbitrary player based on some unknown factor. If that makes sense. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. All right, let's see. So then we want fruit picked. So that's going to be in gatherables. So in here we have on mouse click. So the interesting thing is we don't know what fruit is versus a flower. So we're going to make a new variable, gatherable type. And let's see, flowers are going to be flower. You should add a window where they get it at the same time and they get half a fish. How about nobody gets it? Then people will be really pissy with each other. Hedge is also going to be flowers. So flower. Fruit tree is going to be fruit. And I think that's it for now. Yep, okay. So then we're going to do... And there's an animation where they pull on the fish. Yeah, and then we have to create twice as many icons to fish so that we can have... And which half do they get? So now we have to create a top half and a bottom half for every fish. And then how do we decide who gets the top and who gets the bottom? I don't know, Robbie. I don't know. All right, let's see. So this is where... All right, let's see. This is where they get... Actually, it doesn't matter. We can just do it right away. Right here. So we're going to do a switch statement on this gatherable type. And I don't remember how to do switches in ViScript, so we're just going to check to see where I did it somewhere else. All right, so it's going to look something like this. So we're going to paste in something like this, and then we're going to modify it. So the cases that I want are flower and fruit. And then I think a default, which I don't really need a default. Control-C, Control-V. That's basically all programming is, Robbie. Don't you know that yet? All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting two different stats. So that's going to be pclient mob set stat. Stat fishing fish caught. And the fish caught is going to be set to... sorry, it's going to be adjustment. Not fish caught. What am I talking about? Flowers picked. Stat gathering flowers picked is going to go to... Let's see. It's going to be adjusted by 1. I never got that far, and I only did very overcomplicated stuff because I didn't know how to do it in a smart way. Yeah. Well, there's a million ways to do everything. It really is. It doesn't mean that it's one way is smart and one way is stupid. All right, so we have fruit picked. Okay, that's 3 new stats, and they should be working. So let's give it a go. Let's pick some flowers. We're getting an error right away. Not a function. Adjust is not a function. Did I say adjust? Adjust stat. There it goes, telling me like 1 second in, and it's already telling me I did something wrong. Hey, at least it told me. All right, so we have 2, 3 flowers and 5 fruit. Let's check the log. Let's see, adjust stat 2. Adjust stat of type stat gathering fruit pick from value 4 to 5. Boom. And how about these? Let's see, so we'll have to go through all those. And then adjust stat of stat type flowers pick from value 2 to 3. So we've got, that's 2 of them, and then I need to check fishing, right? No errors this time. Yeah, and it's working. Give me my fishy. All right, so that's 2, right? Let's check it. Adjust stat of stat type, stat fishing, fish caught from value of 1 to 2. We have fishing stats. Awesome. So guys, if you're playing Main Street and you want to know how many fish you caught, all you have to do is catch a fish and then hit Control-Shift-I and then look at the log. And you also have to be on the server. All right. So that's the back end for stats, but we don't have the back end for achievements yet. So we have stats, then we need to do stat qualifiers. And we need to track that players have achievements. So first thing we need is a global achievements list. Which is going to be an empty array by default. But then when the world is created, we'll make a world function, initialize achievements list. So when the world is created, which is when the server restarts, we will build this achievements list based on the types that we have. So let's see, we're going to want variable achievement types. And that's going to be equal to type get types achievement. Now this is going to include achievements that we don't want to even count, like popular. Popular is not an achievement. Popular 1 is, but popular is not. So then we're going to need to be able to filter those out. So we're going to set a variable is hidden. And we're going to set that equal to false by default. And then for each of these, no, I can't do it that way. Never mind. We'll check it a different way. We're going to check it to see if it has a qualifying value, because those are already set for everything. So we're going to loop through those. So if achievement types exists and it is something that has length, then we will loop through them. So each achievement type in achievement types. And then we're going to check a couple things to see if it's a valid achievement that we should consider. And that check is going to be if it has a display name. You tried something silly? What's that? Let's see. If oh well, we have to create the type actually. Did you copy? You That's pretty funny. Well, nice try. All right, let's see. So we're going to use a weird thing here, which is a type get variable. And I can get the default variable of a type even if I haven't created it. So achievement type is just the name of the type. And I'm going to get a value from it even though it doesn't exist as an instance of that. So we're going to do type get variable. And we're going to pass the achievement type. And then the name of the variable that we want. It takes you to just a purple screen. It's interesting. All right, so achievement type, and let's see. We're looking at the variable display name. And then let's also look at the qualifying value. Oops. Type get variable achievement type qualifying value. Okay. So we're expecting for, say, popular, for it to have a valid display name, but no qualifying value. No valid qualifying value. We're also going to check the qualifying stat. Just takes you to the editor and it is blank. Yeah. That sounds about right. All right, let's see. Guys, I've just remembered I put a lunch in the toaster oven like 45 minutes ago, and it turned off, but I didn't grab it yet. So I'm going to go grab that and listen to a voicemail real quick. I'm going to be right back in like 1 minute. If you're new to the channel, don't go anywhere. Throw me a follow, and I'll be right back. Maybe get yourself a drink too. All right, we are back. Pardon me if you hear a little chewing sometimes. Okay, so we were adding another check for the qualifying stat. What we're going to do is we're going to check these values and we're going to return now if any of these values aren't what we need for it to be a valid achievement to list. So we're going to check the display name. If it's null or an empty string, we're going to return. We're going to do the same thing for the qualifying stat. What did I get to eat? I have some taquitas. I don't know if you've ever had taquitas before, but they are a staple lunch for me. Nice. Yeah, I don't have time to make a sandwich on stream. All right. Then we're going to check the qualifying value. Is null or it is less than or equal to 0. We don't want to actually return. We want to continue. We just want to skip this stat and go to the next one in the for each loop. Okay. So if we've made it this far, we know it is a valid stat or a valid achievement, and we're going to put it in the list. And we're going to create it as well. No, we're not. We're just going to keep a list of the types. Gosh. Yeah, we're going to create it. Perfect. Okay. That should be good for that. I'm going to take a little sidetrack here from achievements. And there's something that I wrote in bug reports for this last test that I want to check out. Let's see. So the bug report said fish need to be catchable for long after they appear to be visible. I'm going to show you guys an example of what I was talking about when I wrote that. So in the game right now, there's 12 fish in this pond. Let me hide the build box and chat box. There's 12 fish in this pond here, and I can't see them. They occasionally appear like this one, but it seems like you can't click on them sometimes when you should be able to. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I think the other fish might be blocking it. And number two, I think that it's becoming uncatchable while you can still see it. It doesn't always happen. So I'm going to test it a little bit. I'm going to wait until something starts fading away and then try to catch it. It seems like most of the time that results in me not being able to catch it. So we're going to make a little change in here. So this is happening from this do effects thing. And it's this mouse opacity, which is the problem. So we have it set here so that a fish can be caught for a 2-second window. And it's set so that the entire transition should take 2 seconds. But it doesn't seem like that's accurate. Actually, this should only take 1 second. But anyways, we're going to make it a 3-second window. And hopefully that will help. What did I do? Function declaration not allowed for world. All right, we're going to make this function global. All right, we're going to run the game, and we're going to try fishing again. What we're doing now is we're trying to catch the fish after they're already fading out. So that crab, or that lobster, I could not catch, and I'm not sure why. This is seeming better. I couldn't catch that one either. So I'm going to add a little log. A little temporary special log. Let's see. I'll put it in fishing for now. We'll just go to the end. It's going to be an event for anything that I click on. And it's going to log it to, it's going to send it to chat. And it's going to be information, I guess. Let's see. That's going to take a P client. We're going to send it to the client. You clicked on a diamb of type this type with name this name. Yeah, let's just say this type. Okay, let's run that. And now when I click, it should tell me right in my notifications window exactly what I clicked on. Let's see. So I clicked on, yeah, it's doing it. So I clicked on cobblestone path 1. All right, cool. So here I clicked on purple short crab. Again. Okay, so it totally just said that I clicked on a half and half lobster that I could not see. So this is a theory that I'm testing, which is that you can click on something and you can't catch that fish because there's something else on top of it. So I have it set. The intention here was that, let's see. The intention was that a fish could not be caught if it can't be seen, and it wouldn't be clickable either. Let's see. Guys, let me know if the stream is still working for you guys. I'm just getting a little notice here that it's not going perfectly. All right, let's see. So we have this, let's see. It's frozen. All right, hang on. Not frozen for you. I hear audio but no video. Okay. I'm trying to switch it, and let me switch it back. It might not be frozen for Sonic because she's like way behind, No, she answered my question, so it should be fine. Working in real time for you. All right. Well, Robbie, maybe try reloading. All right, let's see. So what I'm looking at is the mouse opacity gets set to 1 when it does the effects, and 0. Okay, but here's the problem, is when it's created, it needs to be set as well. All right, so the bug is that when a fish is first spawned, it's invisible, but you can click on it, but you can't catch it. So until it has revealed itself at least once, it can block you from catching other fish. That is why sometimes when you click on a fish, you can't catch it. So now I should be able to catch a fish absolutely anytime I see one and click on it, unless I'm still cooling down. Oh, that's interesting. It said maybe that was a misclick. It says I clicked on the water. What? All right, we're just testing here. Done broke it now. No, I mean, I'm catching things. I am catching things. Oh! Caught a landfish. So I used to like just absolutely jitter click it when I saw a fish, but now I'm just trying single clicks on every fish. See how well it goes. Hmm. I missed that one. I mean, it definitely feels better, but it's still not perfect. But guys, this is where I'm going to stop it for today. I don't like to struggle on stream. It makes me feel like I'm not as good at what I do. So I'm gonna see what I can do about this, and we're gonna keep working on achievements. Probably next stream will be achievement UI and stat UI, so that you can see some visual representation for what's going on there. But that's good content. It's good content as long as I sound happy. All right, let's see. All right, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that follow button so you can join in next time. I already did swap to work on something different though. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to be working on the UI for the next stream. I don't know when it could be. If it's not some other time today, it'll be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, see you guys.